Bizarre Brain Comics. Hello, my comic book friends, and welcome to Bizarre Brain Comics. I'm Gary, your host. And this is where I like to take a look at some older comics, talk a little bit about the characters and creators, and examine the stories and the art. But this time, we're just going to show just a fistful of spooky type comics from the early 70s. And that's keeping with the October spooky month. Ooh. Some of them's not as spooky as others. Some of them wind up being monsters, but there's spooky stuff in there. Spooky intent. I said a fistful of spooky stuff. Ooh, yeah. Start by taking a look at this one. A Tower of Shadows, number 4. This is looks like a Maurice Severin cover. This is from 1969 Marvel Comics. Evil is a bad. So, these were all new original stories in this title, in this issue, and probably the previous issues before they started replacing it with filling them with reprints. Sometimes having a new lead story and then reprint stories. It says Tom Sutton writing and drawing the story, and early in his career, this is from 1969. But then, just a few months later, with Tower of Shadows, number 7. Tower of Shadows, number 7 from 1970. You can see it's already going into monster stories and reprints. And that's not necessarily bad, because I love the monster stuff. Jack Kirby monster Titan, or a giant crab monster. Wally Wood, and this is a story, one of the stories that I showed when I did that Wally Wood art from Marvel Comics. It's fantasy. And here's a story. Drawn by early drawing by Barry Windsor Smith, who later did Conan the Barbarian, and this was inked by Don Heck, and it really does not do his pencils justice. Then we have Fear. This is Fear, number 8 from 1972. That's good John Severin cover. It looks pretty spooky, but it is kind of spooky and monstery too, because its lead story is a Jack Kirby monster story, and with some monstery science fiction and more spooky horror backup. So here's a Steve Ditko story. A couple of Steve Ditko stories. And then from 1971, here's Creatures on the Loose, number 13. And you can clearly see on the cover here, this is a Jack Kirby monster. And the lead story is a Jack Kirby monster story. With some Reed Crandall spooky stuff in the back. And after that, and then there's a werewolf story in here. Yeah, that's the one. It's a really cool werewolf story. I might have to cover that one, just because it's so cool. But interesting thing is then I also have Weird Wonder Tales, number 17 from 1976. Now, they both feature the same monster reprint story with just different coloring jobs. Yeah, Weird Wonder. But this also has some really nice early Gene Colan art. And then another that's from the 50s that's not as good. Those are both from the 50s. It's not as good. And then we get up here. A little later. Oh, yeah. Worlds Unknown, number 4. This is once, well, usually it's one main story for the most of the issue, and then another one, a very short story as a backup, which is a reprint. But this was contemporary. This was new at the time, but these were stories that were being, I think it was Jerry Conway. Yeah, Jerry Conway was doing the writing on these at the time. Yeah, Jerry Conway. This is been drawn by John Buscema, inked by Dick Giordano. And the lead story is Arena. It's a great science fiction story. This was written by Frederick Brown. The story it's based on was written by Frederick Brown. But the main significance of this story is that this is the story that the Star Trek episode Arena was based on. That's the one where Kirk is fighting the Gorn on the planet. Well, except this is closer to the original story. But this is when a human is fighting a weird alien creature on a planet for the fate of their respective people. And then that was from 74, was it? 73. And then we follow that one up with Worlds Unknown, number 6, just a few months later. And this is a longer one. It takes the entire issue with no backup. So this is an issue-length story. And it is a science fiction monster, spooky type story. But the interesting thing, see, it is Killdozer. They was really prominent on that. Killdozer, because it says here, as seen on TV. Because at the time, it had nothing to do. They just, in coincidence, not even coincidence, because they knew the show was in production. They got the rights and did this. Had no connection to the production of the TV movie called Killdozer. And this is a science fiction story of some engineers working on construction on some island, and like an asteroid or whatever crashes down. Something comes out of the asteroid and possesses a bulldozer and starts killing the people, and they have nothing, can't control it. So the live looking one with all the serrated teeth there, that's just for the cover, and because it doesn't look like that. But I remember that movie, TV movie, when it came out. I watched it on TV. I watched it 2 or 3 times. I haven't seen it in decades, but I really liked that movie. And of course, those were all from Marvel. But this last one is not from Marvel. This is from 1975, 76, 74, 73. Is issue number 5 of Chilling Adventures in Sorcery from Red Circle. Now, what's Red Circle? Red Circle is Archie Comics. This was an earlier endeavor into horror comics in the 70s when everyone else was. They started off with a couple issues of Sabrina the Teenage Witch as being a horror host, and it was all done in the Archie style. And then after a couple issues, they dropped that, but this got several artists like Gray Morrow and what's his name, Vincente Alcazar, doing the writing and the art, and Larry Hama and other writers doing the writing. And it's cool stuff. There's a lot of fantasy sorcery, but it's a lot of fun. I've got a reprint volume. It's got all of the issues reprinted in that, and it's some good stuff. It really is. And so that's what I've got for you this time, with some spooky horror comics. Ooh, good stuff. So please like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment. Tell me what you think of these old books, spooky books, monster books. Oh, cool stuff. Let me know in the comments below. And remember, comics are art.